Project Epoch is out for almost a week now. So today we're going to talk about my first impressions playing the server and checking out all the different features that Epoch has implemented into our beloved classic. Just quick note before we start, guys, I wish to really thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the support you give to the channel. We just hit a massive milestone of 10,000 subscribers. There's still a lot of content to cover in the Classic Plus and private server department, which I will continually try to do to bring you guys some very nice content to watch. This year is actually massive for Classic Plus and some other custom servers, so we do definitely have a lot to enjoy at the moment. So if you do enjoy what you see, consider subscribing, and let's get down into some juice. So initially I did create a paladin on the Kazan realm, but after playing a little bit, first things first, I was a little bit bored of the constant auto-attacking with the paladin, and secondly, I thought that I do really crave a good PvP experience. And let's face it, fresh realms, especially with such an amount of people, don't really happen that often. So I thought to myself that it's actually the very best occasion, actually, to try out leveling on a full-out scaled PvP realm, which is, of course, Gurubashi. So for that matter, I decided to roll an Alliance character, mainly due to the fact that recently I have been playing Horde on the Total WoW and checking it out, so I craved for some different-sided experience. I was really wondering about which class to choose, especially that this is a PvP realm, so Warrior was something I really wanted to try out, although I was a little bit skeptical about the outcome of the Warrior leveling on a PvP realm, so I decided a safe bet and went for a Druid. But there's a little bit more into that choice because PvP is one thing, but there's also a lot of PvE stuff that Epoch has added. So that's why I wanted the most versatile class, similarly to Paladin on the Alliance side. The massive advantage that actually Druids have is that you can go for a feral specialization and actually benefit quite a lot from the talents for both DPSing as a cat and tanking as a bear, which means that you don't really have to worry about changing specs or anything like that, and you can be very effective in doing so. To top it all off, we of course got Stealth for PvP, Moonfire for very effective mob tagging, as I was expecting still quite a lot of people even after the release, so that could help a lot. And of course that extra mobility before getting a mount up, as cat form from level 20 will receive almost like a 30% movement speed buff, and on level 30 we get a travel form which increases it further, which in Classic of course is invaluable. So eventually I did finally start to level up in the first initial zones, and I have to admit that it was only 2 days after the release and starter zones felt a little bit more empty, but that was understandable. I was a little bit late to the party, especially on the PvP realm, as let's face it, this is the least played, as he already has around 6k players online every evening, while the others are scaling up to like 8 or 9k. But I thought to myself, as for PvP realms, it's still quite a lot of people, and this actually did show up later down the line, where we literally met people around every corner of Azeroth, which also meant that in the future, PvP will be happening very often, which I'm really happy about. I also chose Night Elf because this will allow me to enter Ashenvale after level 20, so that means earlier PvP, because otherwise we would usually have to wait until Stranglethorn Vale or some other contested area after level 30. As for initial questing zone in Teldrassil, I have to admit that it's a little bit worse than in Humans, because in Elwyn Forest and later down the line in Westfall, there were really some of the coolest quests I've seen in Classic. Let's face it, the Epoch did went a little bit further when it comes down to the quest designs, as they actually implemented things like pacing when NPCs were showing up, different dynamic events happening all the time. So if I would actually to compare it to Turtle WoW, I would say that Epoch has those a little bit better. Although I haven't seen like the recent addition to the Turtle WoW, which of course is the brand new Ember Share Zone. But I will eventually try that out, so we'll have a very nice comparison further down the line. All in all, I was very excited. That's why I also wanted to try a different race, just to see the comparison, if the quality of the quest is actually keeping up, or was that only just an, occasional show-off of quality because many people play humans. All in all, in the starter zone of Night Elves, I have noticed like a very small subzone, which did consist some of the quests. I mean, there were like 2 if I remember correctly, which wasn't a big deal, but on the other hand, it was a very nice touch that seemingly fitted the area and the zone, especially that we did hunt moonkins in there. So definitely well thought idea. Out of the starting zone, the very first thing I noticed was the difficulty scaling, meaning that mobs were feeling a lot harder to defeat, and they were definitely smacking a lot harder as, well, not to say by accident, rather lack of focus. I did die like 2 times trying to kill a simple owls, so that actually did show up. On the other hand, one thing that I did also notice, even though the mobs were hitting a lot harder, the health and mana regen has been definitely increased. I did speak with a couple of people on the stream and they also confirmed it, that it seems even in the later levels, because initially I thought that it's only a matter that I'm so low level, but even later down the line, guys who played warriors did admit that their HP regen is a little bit higher than usual, which is actually a really good thing, especially for warriors, let's face it. But as a druid myself, I also benefit from it quite nicely, because later down the line, it literally allowed me to use more moonfires and shape-shiftings, like, playing as a true hybrid, or like pulling 2 mobs, pre-healing, pulling them with moonfire, and then just finishing them off as a bear. It was a very fun playstyle, and the good thing was that I didn't even have to like regen after each fight, because the fight lasted longer than usual. But on the other hand, thanks to that, my mana was able to regenerate over time, so it's kind of a double-edged sword because it takes longer to kill mobs, but because of that you also have increased regen, so it creates a situation where if you pull too many, you're literally dead, but the increased killing time is kinda gave back to us in the form of lack of regeneration, which is a good thing, because who actually likes to sit on his ass just looking at the monitor and waiting for our resources to replenish? Another thing I did notice is that they did follow a true Blizzard style, and they didn't actually fix the line of sight on many objects. I mean, come on, the private servers did sort it out so long ago. Like, you still can shoot through objects like trees or some small walls. It's just really annoying. I just hope that they will fix it soon. At this point, I would probably also want to mention the Proffesions, because the changes that were made are really dope. They have added those really small items in the beginning, for example in leatherworking, which I did pick up, like grey shoulders, white shoulders. They don't really add any stats, but if you are playing World of Warcraft for quite a long time, you do know that in Classic, getting your first shoulders, helmet, amulets, rings is like a very significant moment, so it was pretty much amazing to get shoulders so early on. They didn't actually give us any benefit, but my character definitely did look a lot better while getting them. But this is just a minor change. The massive change that actually did happen is that we received constant item enhancement along the way. So as a leatherworker, I was actually able to enchant my braces depending on the role I'm actually performing. So I could add like 3 additional spell power, 3 stamina if I'm tanking, or 5 attack power if I'm DPSing. It may seem a little bit minor, but as you know, in Classic, every buff and statistics that can actually increase your damage or whatever does matter, so it was a very nice touch to see that, especially that many people don't want to usually spend time leveling the professions on their way to 60, so this is like another incentive to very seamlessly increase your character power. So definitely a welcome change, and I can't wait to actually see more of that later down the line when I get to the higher level of both character and leatherworking. Pretty excited about that. While finishing the first zones, there were actually still quite a lot of people to play with. The Relics of Awakening, which is usually one of the most difficult quests for Night Elves, was pretty easy to do because there were so many people doing it that it didn't matter that the cave is literally full of furbolgs. There were some nice and very seemingly put quests to fit the zone and theme of the Night Elves, so it was a nice touch, but nothing really that exciting. I've seen an Elven Forest, like that Waterfall quest, or the one with the guard and the murder that further leads you to Westfall. Things like that make you really exciting during questing, and I'm really glad that they also added more advanced quests like that rather than just simple killing quests. It definitely makes the world more interesting and excites you to find pearls like that. Eventually I did get my ass to Darkshore, got my bear form quite easily, and like I mentioned before, this opened up a very nice playstyle for me because I was able to like defeat 1 or 2 mobs while pulling them with Moonfare, finishing them off with like, you know, they were literally killing themselves off of me with thorns and stuff like that. Very exciting stuff. While leveling in Darkshore, I did notice that amazing feature that Epoch was actually teasing us with, which are the zones reputation. You could literally get Oberdeen reputation while doing standard quests, and there's even like a introduction mission that sends you to the correct NPC that will eventually sell you items for the levels of reputation. Those items are pretty expensive, especially for starting characters, but I do have to admit that they are quite powerful. I mean, I couldn't find anything like those items out in the open, nor even crafted so far, so it was definitely worth it. It's a very nice touch, and if every zone has a vendor like that, I'm really happy about it because this will incentivize you to finish those zones to get full reputation. I'm not quite sure how well will this work further down the line. Maybe you guys can say in the comment section if you are high level enough. But initially those items are like a godsend, and you very quickly advance through the ladder of the reputation, and you are able to get those items pretty quickly eventually. By the end of the zone, you can get some very nice cosmetic stuff, because I can see that there's also some of the cosmetics inside, or things like this amazing amulet in Darkshore, or being exalted with Oberdeen. I think it's a very nice touch to the open world leveling. Unfortunately, at this level, I think there are still no world bosses available for me. I think the very first one awaits us in Ashenvale. I do even like remember the trailer teaser that there was a big massive just running around. So there's that, and definitely a lot more world PvP, because Darkshore is literally an alliance zone, while Ashenvale is a very nice, massive contested zone, so it's still ahead of me and I can actually wait for it. I did, of course, during leveling try out some BGs. I think I did like 2 or 3, and they were working pretty nicely. Standard stuff. You could already notice a couple of days in that there are some twinks, because on level 18 I think I was a bear form and I had like almost 700 HP as a tank, and there were already people running with over 1000, so I guess that those items from reputation or maybe even dungeons like, you know, twinking out definitely help them a lot. But I actually didn't play that many BGs to say that one side is better or the other. I just seen on the chat that supposedly Alliance is leading the way in the BG win ratio, but I cannot actually confirm it. I just played too little. But yeah, most of the PvP action is still ahead of us, so we'll get into that in the next episode probably, as well as the world bosses. I'm almost level 20 by this point, so very soon I should be able to also try out the new Wailing Caverns, which would be pretty close by, and of course a journey to Westfall to first off finish off the quest line from the Dark Shore. That actually was quite exciting because there is a new human NPC that is looking for his sister, and we eventually find her dead in one of the local islands, which eventually leaves us some trail of the Defiers. We are sent out to Westfall to actually protect his other sister. So, pretty good story, I would say. Something that we are very familiar with, which is Defiers, of course, and some excitement that can also lead us eventually to the Dead Mines, but yeah, I still need to check it out, so definitely excited for that. We're almost level 20, like I said, and I have already noticed so many good things happening while leveling. Very excited for that. Love the increased difficulty in the open world. I have already died so many times, so I do wish a very good luck for any hardcore characters, especially like warriors or something. So yeah, just to wrap up things for me, everything's good. All the features that Epoch has actually showed us are in place, working very nicely. I did see and hear some opinions that there are some bugged quests and stuff. I personally haven't seen one like that, so cannot elaborate much. I can see that the game masters are banning everybody who tries to cheat, bot or whatever. The performance is smooth, like as usually on the private servers. There is some kind of occasional DC or something happening, but no big deal. The population is still high. It still keeps at 6k on the PvP server, which I think is enough to have some fun in the open world PvP and stuff. So very excited to play some more. Stay tuned for some more updates in the future, especially when I will finish those new dungeons and try out some more PvP in the open worlds. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, have fun on Epoch, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.